Sunday we have in-person classes. So thank you everyone who have attended online and offline. So today I chose a topic which is very relevant to our everyday life, which is stress and how Bhagavad gives some solution. Krishna gives some solution how to deal with everyday stress and burnout. So I will do Hare Krishna Kirtan for like a few minutes. Then we'll do Mangalacharan, and then we will dive into the discussion, taking blessing from the previous acharyas. Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pashato Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Adaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radha Madan Mohan Radhe, Jaya Gaura Mahaprabhu, Jaya Mahaprabhu, Jaya Mahaprabhu, Sriman Mahaprabhu, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Narahari, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Narahari, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I think I'm audible. If you cannot hear me, please let me know. मम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। अजनुलम्बितभुजो कनकावतारो सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरो कमलायतकटा कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो जुगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् जीवं सद्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखावितांश्च। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Again, welcome everyone. So, as I explained before, we'll talk about reducing stress. So, there are so many research there have been by scientists, psychologists, modern day psychologists, I'm saying, on what is the reason of somebody feeling stressful, and then what are the remedies. So we see modern science suggests different reasons for stress. And for example, taking too much workload, or thinking too much, overthinking, or even some psychologists say some people have it in their genes. I mean, they just feel stressful. without any reason, they feel worried. And then burnout is such a common issue in modern world. And since many of us here work in corporate, then many of us are IT professionals. We know very well how the stress can build up. It starts from Monday, right? And then it starts building up, building up, building up. Then the climax is on Friday, when at least I, get to a point on Friday sometimes when I feel that, this week have been really hectic. So some Fridays I do understand that. And so many remedies comes right from modern science. Some take pills, like for sleeping well at night, because it says if you have a good sleep at night, then you can deal with the stress next day. And then many people read different types of self-development books. And then there have been so much endeavor, to just get some relief from stress. We go for traveling, right? In weekends, or just take a break from work for refresh. What is the main reason we want to refresh? We just want to get away from that stressful life that we feel in our corporate jobs, or whatever profession we are in. Especially in Bay Area, we know how it can become. The workload is a lot, and our boss wants a lot from us. It seems like it's very difficult to satisfy them, because the more we give, they just raise the standard and bar. So there is a constant endeavor to find that balance in life, and different people take different approach. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also talks about this, and then he actually gives clues on how to deal with stress, and then how to function effectively in the material world. So we will look through some verses, and then we'll discuss them, and then we'll go from there. So share. Okay, yes. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So, okay. So the first verse we'll describe, we'll read is 247. Very famous verse. Even when, I don't know how many of you have seen the Mahabharata serial by B.R. Chopra, which used to be broadcasted in some television channel. I don't know which one, in 90s. But 1990 or sometime like that, or probably early 2000. So there, this verse used to be played in the, beginning. So that's when actually I kind of learned that verse, just by hearing that, verse there. Very famous verse. Let's see if anyone would like to read. Shweta Matuji, are you available to read 47?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
All
please.
right. Yeah. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचनं मा कर्म फल हेतु भूर्मा ते संगोस्त कर्मणि. Sorry, my pronunciations might not be correct.
No, you did well. Yeah. So, so would you like to read the translation and then the purport?
Yeah. So, translation. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Should I also read the purport?
Yes, please.
Yeah. There are 3 considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus, he is the enjoyer or the sufferer of the result of such actions. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into 3 subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions, without desire for results, is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested, obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non-participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of salvation for Arjuna.
Thank you, Mataji. So we can see here that how Krishna is asking us to manage our expectations. This is a very important part. So if we see that everyone has to work here in the material world, because and then work has been divided, as you can see, 3 types, right? Prescribed duties, and capricious work, and then inaction. So we see prescribed duties are those activities which one do as per the mode that person acquires. There are various modes, right? We know there are 3 modes of material nature, right? Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Then also, it's not like everyone at certain point has just only one mode acting. There can be multiple mode acting on a person at different times. So it's not that simple the way we understand, but the point here is according to our specific mode, we have duties. Capricious work means, when we don't take any authority and we just do out of whims. And inaction means when we don't do our duties. So here, prescribed duties are normally, again, they say taken with 3 types, right? Routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. So routine work is whatever we perform as an obligation, right? According to the scriptural injunctions, right? Which is in our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we don't expect the results for those work. And that way it becomes work in the mode of goodness. And this kind of work is recommended here because that way we don't get attached to the fruits of the result, and such work has been called even auspicious, if we see. So now there is a need to set the expectation, because the reason we get stressed out, burned out, because we cannot manage our expectations. Whenever we do anything, we expect the result and we do the work thinking that if I can perform my best, the result will also come as I want. But that's not here Krishna is telling. It's telling that we can do our duties, we can give our best, but we should not get attached to the result, or we shouldn't even get attached to not doing it if we don't get the result. Suppose we are expecting a certain result and we didn't get it, we become frustrated, right? And that leads to a lot of stress, because when we are thinking of doing something with a result in mind, that I want to achieve this, having a goal is fine, but what if I don't get that goal, right? That's when the challenge comes. I didn't meet the expectation that I set, and then I become frustrated. So that's why we have to understand that we can do our work and we can give our best effort, but the result, that's not in our hand. The result comes through various influences. There are influences of the modes of natures, then there are influences of the demigods who are entitled to give the results, and after all there is Krishna, who in the case of devotees who are performing devotional service, King Krishna himself decides which according to the what kind of result to give to that devotee, so that that is best for that person. Even in general sense, our success should be measured by not how we are getting the result. The success we should measure by if I'm giving my best, if I'm doing what is in my capacity, then we should leave it. Whatever result comes, if good result comes, then good, we should be grateful to Krishna. And if the result doesn't come as expected, we should take it as a lesson. There have been so many failures we can see in the life of successful persons, so-called, if you see materially successful persons, right? Big entrepreneurs, they didn't become successful in just one go. They tried, many times, and at some point, they kept learning, and then at some point they found their niche where they are better. So Einstein told, right, that everyone is a genius, but if you ask somebody to if you ask a fish to kind of climb a tree, then it's not proper justification of his or her capacity, right? Fish is for swimming in the water, so that's the proper place. But if we expect that the fish will climb the tree, then it becomes not very convenient, right? So everyone has their own talent, everyone has their own capacity. We'll have to understand actually what we can do, where our talent lies, not just going with the flow. Everyone is doing this, I will also do this. So this is called Gaddalika Prabhava in Bengali. In Bengali, actually, there's a saying that once big fish, when the fish swims in a certain direction, all other fishes just follow that fish. They don't know where the other fish, that bigger fish is going. They just follow, without knowing. That's what is Gaddalika Prabhava. You don't know what you want to achieve. That's why it's important to define our goal, then give our best. And so this is something actually many people doesn't understand. We measure success by what result we are getting nowadays, but Krishna says that's not supposed to be how to measure success. If we can perform whatever duty is prescribed for us, so duties can be prescribed either by like material duties, which are done by the modes of material nature, right? They can be prescribed by either we do deep analysis about ourselves and then find a suitable profession, or we can take help from mentors. There are so many mentors. Our parents are our first mentors, but then comes professional mentors. I personally was in a situation when I was deciding, whether to do a career shift. So I was contemplating, and then I asked, I had few mentors, I did discuss with them. And so when we have such mentors, that makes life easy. And when we share with our mentors, discuss with them, that also takes stress away. We can get directions. So getting direction is very important in the material world. And even for spiritual duties, which are kind of normally given by somebody who is in a spiritual master level, because they know very well the nature of the disciple. Gurus know the nature of the disciples very well. And that way, they can actually tell us what we can do better in our devotional service. There can be Shiksha Gurus, there can be Diksha Gurus. And then also, spiritual life also, we need mentors. Because otherwise, if you don't have mentors, if you don't have spiritual master, or then we are just sailing actually, without a captain, and that can be dangerous. So that's why managing expectations is one of the key things for managing stress and burnout. If we can understand this concept well, that we shouldn't be attached to not doing our duty, at the same time we should do our best, what we can do in our capacity, and then we shouldn't be too much worried about the result. If the result comes, all good. If the result doesn't comes, we should just let it go. So this is one of the important aspects. So before going to the next verse, anyone has any realization or anything would you like to share? Yeah. So Tilokini is saying, there is saying, I never fail. Either I win or I learn. So it's always a win-win situation if we have that kind of mindset. So next verse I want to talk about is 6th chapter, 16th verse. So who would like to read? Anyone is available to read?
I can read.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Nati asnatastu yogasti na chaikantam anasnataha na chati sapna shilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Translation: There is no possibility of one's being a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much, or eats too little, sleeps too much, or does not sleep enough.
Yeah, you can read the part, but
Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for man to eat animals, because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mood of goodness according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mood of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Bhunjate to agham papa e pachanti atmakaranat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly in by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga. You are on mute.
Yeah. So Tilokini, thank you. Can you read the next also?
युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेतस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्न बबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. He who is regulated in his habit of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Should I read purport also?
Yes, please.
Purport. Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping and defending and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna is offered according to Bhagavad Gita, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption, or not in the category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avarta kalatvam. A Krishna conscious person cannot beat to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasadam nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beats 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness, and because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him.
Thank you. So we can see that Krishna is recommending here regulation, regulating our eating, sleeping, recreation, and also work. That way we can mitigate all material pains, and that way you can reduce stress, anxiety, burnout. So this chapter is actually more dedicated to the process of Ashtanga Yoga. Krishna was explaining Arjuna different methods of Ashtanga Yoga, but then he brings out about Krishna consciousness also, and you can see that for any yoga, we need to regulate these activities, whether it's Bhakti Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. So we can see some similarities, like normally Ashtanga Yoga, there is regulation of eating, which is only to keep the body, mind and soul together. That way it's regulation. In Krishna consciousness also we regulate eating by eating only prasadam, and we fast, according to scriptural injunctions, Ekadashi fasting, and then fasting during Madhava Tithis like Janmashtami, Radhashtami, Gaur Purnima, Nisringa Chaturdashi. We don't just fast like for a strike or to get something, as is very common now we see, right? In different countries, people fast actually to get what they want, either from the government or from an organization. But Krishna doesn't recommend that type of fasting here. This type of fasting is actually sinful, and I mean, somebody's giving pain to the body, so it's not good to giving pain to the body unnecessarily without any spiritual purpose. Fasting should be done only for spiritual purpose, no artificial concocted fasting. So then if we see that the food should be mode of goodness according to yogis, I mean Ashtanga yoga, and those food, it said that they should be offered to any sacrifice before taking, so, and then meat eating, intoxication, these are prohibited. Similarly, in Krishna consciousness, we only eat Krishna prasadam. Sleeping, we see at Ashtanga yoga, we read, right, the previous verse, it was saying if somebody is sleeping more than 6 hours, then it is considered that they are in mode of ignorance. But in Krishna consciousness, we have some like I would say, some kind of we get this concession. I mean, it's not that much regulated, but again, there is a goal which has been set. If we see about Thakur Haridas and then Rupa Goswami, I mean, just to understand when we progress in bhakti, how slowly the need of the body, this eating, sleeping, recreation, all this will be minimized at some point naturally. Well, we don't have to do it artificially, but Prabhupada mentions about Thakur Haridas and Rupa Goswami just to give a hint to us that if we practice devotional service intently, then at some point, a time will come when we will not be so much attacked by these urges. So now, why regulation is important? Because if we can regulate all these activities, then it can help to reduce stress and burnout. Most of the people we see who are having a lot of stress because they are living an unregulated life. Either, they're eating too much, or they're eating too little, they're sleeping too much, or they're depriving themselves with sleep just to reach to a position like Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur artificially, which is also not recommended. And then recreation is required. Here, Prabhupada is mentioning, at some point, there is no laser. But as long as we are not in that stage, we need some level of recreation also. And we can see in our Krishna consciousness, there's so many ways to recreate. We can join kirtan, we can attend a lecture, we can do some service in the temple or for the devotees, we can help some devotees, and then also, we can go to a holy place together, all the devotees making a group, like our Vaisheshika Prabhu every year, he does yatra, our temple president, in like, I think next year the plan is to go to Vrindavan. So we can attend these kind of yatras with devotees, and there's so many ways to recreate. Yes, I was speaking with the devotee, so that devotee was mentioning that it is necessary sometimes to take a break. We shouldn't work in such a way that we just go to extreme and then we go for recharging, doing activities like actually previously people used to go to villages to relax because it's more closer to nature, right? You get fresh air, you get green surroundings, and then the people, they are less complex. It used to be before. I don't know how it is now, but normally I remember when I used to go to our own village from town with family. It used to be such a pleasant time. We used to feel relaxed, and then every year there were like, we used to go once or twice a year. It was such a nice outing with family and meeting relatives. So we need such level of recreations actually, moderately, and then working. So nowadays the culture is just work, and because of globalization of technology. Now, I mean, there is no time limit of working. Many are working from home, and there are teams in offshore India, then nearshore in Canada, there are teams in UK, there are teams in other countries. And then to catch up with all these teams, you're working around the clock. So where is that balance? Are we even thinking that we need some balance in our life? So, that's why regulation is so much important. And we need to understand how properly balancing our material and spiritual life can help us to stay healthy, first of all, and then stay happy, and then without stress and worry. So there is a common concept of overexerting the body. We can see it also. Many actually do overexert their body, not understanding their capacity. They take up a lot of service, and then they cannot do it actually. So sometimes it's important to understand how much you can do and how much you cannot. And also, while working, it is important to set boundaries. If you cannot set boundaries with your other, like boss or other professionals, then at least set boundaries with yourself that I will work this much hours every day, and then I will have this much amount of sleep. At least I should opt for. I should eat healthy, only Krishna prasadam, and obviously healthy prasadam, and not eating too much stale foods. And then also, you should find healthy recreations that we can do with devotees or with friends at times, which leads to constructive and positive influence upon our health. And we have seen devotees, they didn't take care of health properly, and then later part of their life, the body started, kind of not cooperating. So we need to be aware right now, and we need to think of balance and regulation, and that way we can get satisfaction whatever we are doing. So this is an important concept, and I can think actually how kind of sometimes it gets really difficult, right? When we have a deadline, we have to finish a project or some assigned tasks, or we have to manage office, we have to manage family, then we have to manage our personal hobbies, we have to manage services that we are doing. It's a juggling, right? We have to juggle all the time. So we need to understand what to prioritize and what. So prioritization is the key, and we need to understand how to actually, a wise saying is there, rather than, finding out what to do, it is sometimes more productive to find out what not to do. So we have to, make sure that we are not spending too much time in activities which are not constructive or which are not positive. And then we need to prioritize things, and then do what is more important to do. Sometimes we just don't do things, right? We have seen, we feel like, oh, it's difficult, why not we do it a little later, and then that later becomes a week, then a month, things doesn't get done. So I sometimes do listen to work psychologists. Sometimes, listen means I do follow. So there, one work psychologist was saying that it's important to do the most important things in the beginning of the day, not to keep them till end of the day. Whether it is at work or something personal at home, do it before rather than waiting till end of the day. Because as the time passes, you go from mode of goodness to mode of passion. In the noontime, the mode of passion starts, and the evening starts mode of ignorance. So each timing is different. Mode of goodness is in the morning, and morning time is for doing spiritual practices, right? Which starts from Brahma Muhurta until 9 a.m., I think. Then after 9 or 10, the mode of passion starts. That's the time to work, to do your duties, to do business, whatever you're doing for living. Then evening, then mode of ignorance starts. Actually. That's the time to, rest, to recreate, right? So Krishna has this nice, kind of rules that he has set up while he created the world with Brahmaji, right? So we have to understand these things, and we have to sync with the nature, with how the world works, rather than trying to always change the way that the world works according to our means. We should sometimes try to just sync with the world, try to understand, what is expected of me, what Krishna wants me to do at this point, and then just do it, and then ask for help. And that's why guidance is so much required. Guidance from guru, guidance from mentor, when we are not in a position to decide or we are confused, that really helps. And all this balance helps in getting free of stress, getting free of burnout. There have been so many surveys that there are cases of burnouts at work. Why? Because employees cannot balance. That's why companies are giving so much importance nowadays to reduce burnout of employees, like giving PTOs unlimited, then giving different amenities. But we have to understand that we have to, regulate our activities. By regulating our activities, we can regulate our senses actually. For example, if we eat only Krishna prasadam, then automatically we are controlling the tongue, and we are controlling our belly also. And since the genital is also on the same line, we'd be able to control our genital also, right? There's a verse in Ishwapanishad, right? That somebody who can control the arches of the tongue, belly, and genital is one of the qualifications of a person who can make disciples all over the world. So, it was just mentioned to understand how powerful it is to regulating our activities. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. So who is available to read? Mamita Mataji, would you like to read? Okay, I will read.
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm driving.
Okay, no worries, I will read. Spreyan swadharma viguna paradharma svanushtita swadharme nidanam sreya paradharma bhayabaha. So it's saying it's far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed for others. Materially prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychophysical condition, under the spell of the modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed duties for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is non-violent, whereas a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. However, when one transcends the mode of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahmana, whereas Parshuram was a Brahmana, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendentally situated, they could do so, but as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. So we see in this verse, Krishna is asking Arjuna to do his prescribed duty. I mean, not for him, through him, he's instructing actually all of us, right? So he's saying, even if there is some fault, somebody should stick to his duty. One shouldn't imitate other, one shouldn't copy others. So he's saying to some extent that if we get destroyed by performing our own duties, that's better than copying other, comparing with other. Because if we compare with other or copy other, then that can become dangerous. So we see copying, comparing is very much relevant nowadays. I mean, the society structure is such that, when we start our schools, I don't know about nowadays, there have been now grading system, I think it's a little better, but during our times, it was when I was, studying, it was like first, second, third, they are the kind of highlight. Then those who were between 1 to 10 rank, they used to be kind of elite, and after that 10 to 30 are okay type, medium type. Then after 30, those who are, they used to be in oblivion. Actually, I mean, oblivion means what I meant that nobody used to worry too much about them. I remember teachers used to be so much engaged with those who are in the higher rank, like within 1 to 10. I remember when I was giving a matriculation exam, since I was kind of, somehow I was in that elite group 1 to 10. So we were put into a separate coaching to do better in our matriculation exam. Our is a British standard which was followed. So, but here, and that actually breeded, that this kind of environment that breeds the sense of comparing with others, competing with others, and it's to some extent copying. So there is a wise saying, if two person, they're very wise, if they're saying the same thing, then one of them becomes redundant, right? So we shouldn't copy others. We have our own nature. We have our own talents, abilities. We should compete with ourselves, actually. We should try to be better version of ourselves. We shouldn't, think that, oh, that person is doing this and is becoming successful. Why not I also do this? I can become successful. That's not the goal. Actually, everyone is different. They have different nature. They have different capabilities. And all of us are here in this material world to achieve something. And it's not the same. What I am entitled to achieve in the material world, what is my exam, may not be the same as somebody else's, right? So we'll have to understand this concept, as Krishna is saying, that better to do things according to our own ability, according to our own standard. Whatever can work for us. So that's why it's mentioned, right? Spiritual master actually knows the nature of the disciple, and then he assigns activities accordingly. It's not like all disciples, the spiritual master assigns same type of activities, because the spiritual master knows the inclination of the disciple, the talent of the disciple, and then he utilizes the disciple's talent in a way to serve Krishna. Similar for our material activities also, right? I mean, every one of us have our unique contribution that we need to make in this world. We have our unique areas, and then the society is set up in such a way actually that all of us have our unique contribution to make. So to reach our potential, first thing we need to do is stop copying with others or stop comparing. We shouldn't get into this cats and dogs competition which is going on. Yes, competition is allowed to an extent if it is healthy competition. Like we see in our temple, sometimes there is transcendental competition, right, which happens in book distribution, right? Prabhu was saying this year that we want to beat Pune. So it is a transcendental competition. It's not like you will get disappointed if Pune beats us, right? I mean, we'll be happy for them, right? But at the same time, we want to also achieve something. So that's how it is in the spiritual world, actually. Radharani, when she sees that any other person is, or any other gopi is doing a lot of service to Krishna, or anyone doing a lot of service to Krishna, she becomes very happy. I mean, she doesn't become jealous that, oh, this gopi is doing better service than me. Oh, Krishna will be now more attracted to this gopi, and he will not pay attention to me. It's not like the spiritual world, it doesn't work like this. Actually, there is competition, but that's healthy competition. Everyone gets inspired by what other devotees are doing, but they don't copy the other devotee. They don't kind of compare themselves with the other devotee. They don't feel down. Oh, he's doing so much or she's doing so much, I'm not doing anything. They get inspired by other devotees' mode of service, and then they think how they can best serve Krishna. So similar things here. I mean, we have to understand this concept of trying to have our unique contribution. And so this competing, that leads to a lot of stress. I can remember in my school days, it was such a stressful situation that I have to get this much marks, or I'll have to keep my position. There was always fear that somebody will take my rank or position. So at least not always, but that fear used to come during result times, at least. So I used to remind myself even then also, like, I should compete with myself, not with others. But it's difficult to implement it if we don't have shastric background or insight into the shastras. That's why it says shastra chakshu, right? We should see the world through the shastra. So it says that we have different spectacles actually with different colors. So whatever color spectacle we are wearing, we are seeing the world that way. So everyone sees the world according to their viewpoint. And that's why there is conflict sometimes, because we cannot tolerate others' opinion or sometimes another person if they're doing better than us. And also sometimes we forget that we have our unique contribution to make. So there is no need to become envious of others or become jealous of others or comparing oneself with others, feeling down, or competing with others. So this competition can be so unhealthy. All of us who are in corporate world, we have seen, right, how unhealthy it can become. And the higher level, the top level you go in the hierarchy, the competition becomes more intense. I'll not name company, but I have heard some company encourages actually this kind of competition. So whatever it is, this is not healthy for us, for our physical, for our mental health. So it's high time that we think about all this, and then we introspect, and then we determine how to make the best use of our time. We have very limited amount of time actually. How many years now somebody lives? I don't know. US, I think, what is the expectancy? 70 years or 78 or 80 years probably. Not a lot, right? Other yugas, people used to stay longer. In Dapar Yuga, 1,000 years. Treta Yuga, 10,000 years. In Satya Yuga, 100,000 years. So comparing to that, we have very little time. So why to waste the time by comparing with others, competing with others, comparing with others, and getting plunged into this ocean of suffering, anxiety, stress, worry. So yeah, we have our unique talents. We need to understand our potential and act accordingly. So at this point, I will see if there is any reflection or anything you'd like to share that we have discussed before we move ahead. I'll just check if there is anything in YouTube. Adinath Krishna Prabhu is saying Hari Bol. Okay. Let's see if there is anything in Facebook. Okay, so there is nothing. So we'll move ahead if there is not, no other reflection or question. We will explore a little bit on how does a person behaves who doesn't have worry or anxiety or stress. So Krishna mentions in, I think, 4 verses, 1851 to 53. So let's see. Okay, Sweta Mataji is saying she has to leave. Thank you for joining. Paris Prabhu, would you like to read? Are you available?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah. Are you available to read, Mataji?
Yes, I can read, but I cannot promise that I'll be fluent.
No, that's fine. Yeah. We don't need to be fluent. We just try our best, right? We are discussing this, right? Yeah.
Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha shabdadin vishayam tattva ragadveshau vyudasya cha vivikta sevi lagvashi yata vakaya manasah ध्यानयोग परो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः अहंकारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहं विमुच्य निर्ममः शान्तो ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते.
Please read the translation and the purport.
Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance, and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship, and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Purport. When one is purified by intelligence, he keeps himself in the middle of in the mode of goodness. Thus, one becomes a controller of the mind and is always in trance. He is not attached to the objects of sense gratification, and he is free from attachment and hatred in his activities. Such a detached person naturally prefers to live in a secluded place. He does not eat more than what he requires, and he controls the activities of his body and mind. He has no false ego because he does not accept the body as himself, nor has he a desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting so many material things. Because he has no bodily concept of life, he is not falsely proud. He is satisfied with everything that is offered to him by the grace of Lord, and he is never angry in the absence of sense gratification. Nor does he endeavor to acquire sense objects. Thus, when he is completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things, and that is the stage of self-realization of Brahman. That stage is called the Brahma Bhuta stage. When one is free from the material conception of life, he becomes peaceful and cannot be agitated. This is described in Bhagavad Gita, verse 270. Apuryamanam achal pratishtham samudram apah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantim apnoti na kama kami. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Thank you, Mataji. So we can see, right, how being purified of intelligence and controlling the mind, giving up the sense objects and other things, how one can elevate to the position of self-realization. And also it is said that when desires comes, desires are called like ocean waves. If somebody can keep himself or herself still when this desire is coming, rather than just always trying to fulfill the desires, that way we can achieve peace. All desires doesn't need to be fulfilled. We need to analyze the desires and find out which we do need to fulfill. And that's it, they can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. The last verse, Yash Prabhu, would you like to read this verse, 1854?
Yes, Prabhu. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati na Kankshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Translation. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Purport. To the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma-Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further, to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation, called Brahma-Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto him. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there, in a higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery, but in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. The devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service, in Krishna consciousness, becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he is naturally always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain, because he is full in the service of the Lord. He has no desire for material enjoyment, because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally a servant. He does not see, in the material world, someone as higher and someone as lower. Higher and lower positions are ephemeral, and the devotee has nothing to do with ephemeral appearances or disappearances. For him, stone and gold are of equal value. This is the Brahmabhuta stage, and this stage is attained very easily by the pure devotee. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria, and the senses are like serpents whose poisoned teeth are broken. As there is no fear of a serpent with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. The world is miserable for the materially infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha, or the spiritual sky. The highest personality in this material universe is no more significant than an ant for a devotee. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we can see, right, that somebody who is such transcendently situated, such transcendentally situated. No, it was not a tongue twister. I don't know why it happened. It was not a tongue twister. Okay, so then they realize that the Supreme Brahma, right, and they become joyful. So they don't lament. Na shochoti, na kankshate. They also don't desire to have anything. And they're equally disposed toward any living entity. So equally disposed means they see the super soul within all living entities. That way they know that everyone is a part and parcel of the Lord, and everyone is a servant of the Lord. And that way, they attain pure devotional service to the Lord. And in Kali Yuga, we are so fortunate that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself came. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahe Un. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya is none other than Radha and Krishna. And he propagated this cult of pure devotional service. I don't say it's a cult, this movement, I would say. Nowadays, cult has very bad, connotation. So better to use this movement. And we are fortunate that this movement will continue for next 10,000 years, as said in Brahma Vaivarta Purana. And so Srila Prabhupada, he established ISKCON, and then he also said that our ISKCON movement that he started, that will have significant impact in Mahaprabhu's mission. And we can see it's already happening. So the wise people, is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they will take advantage of this Kali Yuga and they will worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then how to worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? By worshipping him and then following his instructions, then trying to hear from his representatives who are preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which among them foremost is Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is an incarnation of Balaramanu. And from Nityananda Prabhu coming all the acharyas in the parampara. In our Gauriya parampara, we have Srila Prabhupada, then we have Bhakti-Chandra Saraswati Thakur, and then other previous acharyas in the line. And then, so there is a chain of disciplic succession. This Bhagavad Gita is also actually spoken in a chain of disciplic succession. And so we are so fortunate. We have these literatures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we should read these, take advantage, and make our life successful and keep stress, anxiety, worry at bay, as they say, right? So to summarize, stress is a common scenario in modern world. We are living with it, though we accept it or not, it is there. And all of us are more or less impacted by stress, anxiety, burnout, worry. So what we need to do, first thing is we need to manage our expectations. We need to understand that we can try our best and leave rest up to Krishna. We shouldn't get too much attached to the result, and we shouldn't expect to get a good result if we have done our best, because we have to understand that we can only, the work is in our hand, but we cannot control the outcome of our work. Second thing is about doing, our prescribed duties. Sorry, I think regulation. Second thing is, right, we should regulate our eating, sleeping, and recreation, and then also our work. And we should try to balance between our material and spiritual life. How to balance? Good ways to have a good routine every day, have a to-do list, set up the priorities, and then understanding that, and whenever we are not feeling well, we're disease, we should seek help from doctors. We shouldn't worry. So it's said that food is the best medicine. It's said in Ayurveda, it is considered that if we eat timely, if we eat wholesome foods, then that food can act as medicine actually. And Ayurveda, sometimes food is given to cure disease. Even modern science also is accepting that eating healthy, eating a lot of vegetables really helps. So, and then most important is eating Krishna prasadam, having enough sleep, then do recreation when required in a regulated manner, and then also try to regulate our work. We shouldn't become workaholic, working all the time, and then no time for family, no time for eating properly, no time for sleeping. We are not taking breaks. So that's not very conducive for happiness and health. And third thing is, it's about not comparing with others, not competing with others. Try to understand that we have our own contribution to make. Try to understand our potential, take help from mentors if required, take help from our spiritual master, and also it's important to understand that we have unique talents, and we have unique ways, unique reason for we are here in the world. And then also we have discussed about what are the qualities, right, of somebody who has no ori, right? Brahmavutta Pasannatma Nashochati Nakangshat. Then Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labate Param. So that's the ultimate goal. Achieving bhakti towards Lord Krishna, towards Mahaprabhu. And that way we can lead a happy, healthy, stress-free, and joyful life. So we'll see if there is any reflection or any question. Whatever we have discussed, if you like something or you want to mention something. Okay, I'll just quickly check YouTube. Okay, Adina Prabhu is saying stress comes upon one who is not regulated or balanced in reference to Bhagavad Gita 6.17, and how planning recreation to recharge help us to remain healthy. Analyze our desires and consciously choose which desires to fulfill. He also likes the point of adjusting expectations for happiness. Thank you, Adinath Krishna Prabhu, for your valuable comments. And we'll see in Facebook if there is anything. Okay, there is nothing much. So we have few more minutes. So probably, okay, yeah. I have noticed great improvement in peace of mind and stress management once I started Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes, that's a good way. Thanks, Mataji. Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a good way. Also, accepting the results are not in our hands helps accepting the consequences. Mataji, would you like to tell a little bit more about this that you just posted?
Well, I just graduated in May, and we all know what the situation is in the job market as of since last year, right?
Yes.
Everyone was stressful, but somehow I was I wouldn't say confident, but I had faith somewhere that if I'm working, whatever is going to happen, will happen. If I don't find a job here and if I have to go back to India, that is maybe in my fate, or maybe there is some better plan for me uh, in the future. So that helped me to, stay positive throughout the period of that job search. And but ultimately, yes, with Krishna's grace, I did get a good offer, and right now I'm working here. I'm still here basically.
Here means in the area?
Sorry?
Here means where, in US or?
Yes, yeah, I'm in Sunnyvale right now. And yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you for sharing. And this is an example, right? How if you don't get too much attached with the results, because see, as your case, Paris Mataji, the result was not in your hand, right? The job market was down. You tried your best, and you kind of chanted the Maha Mantra, and also you understood that the result is not in your hand. You can just give your best, and when the right time comes, if you are entitled, I mean, if you are allotted that result, then you will get it. So that's the right mindset. Yeah, congratulations on getting a job. And this is actually, that's why Bhagavad Gita is very practical. It's not like just something that we need to you know read for our afterlife. It's not like that. I remember in our home, the Bhagavad Gita, we used to read Sanskrit we used to read, my grandma used to encourage, but we never delved into, I never delved a lot into, what it is meaning, what is the Krishna trying to explain. So we need to actually deep dive in Bhagavad Gita, actually. And we need to, it's a song of God, right? So we need to analyze the verses. We need to see how we can apply this to our life. Bhagavad Gita has been actually revered by so many. Even if you open the book of Bhagavad Gita, we'll see, right? It mentions that there is different colleges, right? Like whereas from Berkeley, University of Chicago, different professors, they endorse this book. And Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is the most widely distributed Bhagavad Gita, over 80 languages in the world. Can you imagine? And because Prabhupada speaks as it is, that's why he named the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And that's why we need to keep reading Bhagavad Gita, and then we need to think how to apply the knowledge in our lives. And for us, when we are living in such an age in Kali Yuga where things are becoming just more and more difficult, right? Everything, in economy, we see, actually there is a sense of scarcity always, that this is not there, that is not there. So we need proper knowledge. We need Shastra Chakshu to deal with the world. So that way we can make our life successful. So we have few more minutes. So I will probably do some chanting, and then we can end the class at 8:30. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Krishna, Premanande, Hare Prabhu, Bhagavad Gita. Thank you everyone for joining. Before ending, is there any last comment or any feedback? Anything you would like to add?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Questions?
Appreciate the association.
Yeah, you're welcome, Prabhu. Thanks for joining. Okay. If there's nothing else, then we will see you in next week, same time. And also, just to let you know, we have classes on Saturdays and Sunday, but those classes are in person. You'll have to come to ISKCON of Silicon Valley in Mountain View. Or you can join online also. They are also broadcasted online. So there are so many opportunities. Saturday, we have discussion on Krishna Katha. Then we have chanting session in the morning. It starts from, I think, 6 a.m. and then it goes till 10, 11 a.m. And then Sunday, we have the Sunday feast, which starts from 3:30. It goes till 6 around, and then there is nice prasadam for everyone. So please, this is Kartik month, right? We know this is very favorite month for Krishna, and it is said whatever devotional activities we do in Kartik, we get actually 1,000 times more benefit during if whatever we do in Kartik. So we should take opportunity. We should offer lamp to the Lord. We can come to the temple every day. In the temple, morning and evening, there is lamp offering to Lord Damodar, that form of Krishna where Mata Yashoda is binding him. So it's a very auspicious month. Many actually travel to Vrindavan and holy places during this month, or try to jumpstart or like boost their devotional services. Some chants extra rounds, some tries to attend Mangalarati, some commits to do specific services, or some refrain from some specific things to eat. So it's very open. You can take a sankalpa what you want to do during this Kartik month, and there will be immense benefits, both spiritual and then also we'll feel satisfied because we're doing something for Krishna, for the devotees. So hope all of you have a good night. Thank you for joining, everyone, offline and online. And with Hare Krishna, Mahamantra will end. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.